asking good questions. She says, Ripple partnered with Bank of America in 2019, started settling international transactions on the XRPL since 2025, and Ripple partnered with Uphold. Chase is opening their own trust bank and partnering with Coinbase. Thoughts? Any other beans you got? I saw an email that was out there on the open internet today about Bank of America changing their payment rails and making transfers and payments faster as of March 28th this year. That is 24 days away. They have over 84 different blockchain patents leveraging the XRPL. They've been a Ripple partner, like she states here, I think actually sooner than 2019. I think they were actually listed on Ripple's website in 2018. But, you know, for them to be partnered that long, and you know what? I'll say this. I don't know if you guys watched the interview with Paul Barron or not. He kind of alluded to a big announcement from Ripple also. This somebody else different that mentioned it to me, separate of Paul. But he said it might be in correlation with a large bank. He did not state which bank, would be involved there. But since you bring up Bank of America and their partnership, sure would be interesting if Bank of America came out and said, hey, we're moving to this on March 28th this year, and we're using Ripple services and Ripple payments and XRP Ledger and XRP. I think that would get the price moving if they were to do that. But for JP Morgan was actually, they came to Ripple's office in 2017 and they wanted to buy the entire escrow. They wanted to control the monetary system. And Ripple basically told them, up yours, that's not happening. And then they created the escrow in 2018. Actually, it was in 2017 when they created the escrow. And I think that was provoked by JP Morgan coming and asking for that XRP. If it's in escrow, they can't take it, right? So that's, I think, how they looked at it. Now it's in a programmatic release, $1 billion a month. Speaking of which, let's take a look here. I haven't seen if Ripple has put the escrow release from this month out on the market, but I'll tell you guys how to find out.
Good morning, everybody. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of your favorite crypto news related channel. And today is going to be a very exciting episode as we've got some brand new updates on the Clarity Act that we're going to be covering for you guys this morning. We're also going to be talking about the spike in oil. And I see some people in our live chat are already pointing this out. Yen to oil's 13.50 this morning. This is massive. We're waiting for that 20% spike in oil like Jake has been outlining so we can start to see the dominoes fall for the XRP community. Now, I've also got some news in regards to XRP whales, which have accumulated over 4 billion XRP tokens since October 10th. So this goes to show big money doubling down on these assets while they're trading at lower prices. But I'm most excited about the Clarity Act update we're going to be providing for you guys as Brian Armstrong was back on Fox Business this morning discussing the very updates that I'm going to be taking you through. Now, we already have over 1,200 live listeners here, just under that actually. If you're enjoying this content, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, because once again, you're going to get an update every single day, and we're going to do 2 updates Monday through Friday. But the goal for today, can we pass 589 likes on the episode? I say yes, my friend. Miracles do happen, especially on Conspiracy Friday. And we're going to kick off today's episode with a reminder of this speech that was given by Brad Garlinghouse, where Brad talks about Ripple's commitment to the XRP ledger. And I'm going to connect this to a few updates that are taking place today. Here's what Brad had to say in Australia just about a week ago.
Like, people use this expression, like, flip the switch. And, I promise you, if I had a magic switch to flip, I would have switched. Like, I would have done that a long time ago. Like, what I said at the XRP Community Day, which I then retweeted, somebody summarized it, was that there's not one switch. There's 100 switches. There's 1,000 switches. And it's all of these little switches 100%. And bit by bit by bit until it really does, I think, have an exponential impact. And I think you're starting to see that. It's taken a little longer in some cases. But on the other hand, we've made so much progress. And you're seeing more and more of these little switches flip. And it's the reason why I have so much optimism about both 2026 and, certainly beyond. And look, part of that truly is you all are one of those flipped switches. Like, seeing the passion in Australia, seeing the passion, we're on a kind of a world tour right now. And like, it's awesome. And each of these individual things and the advocacy and clarifying and debunking the FUD and the misinformation. Like, it's all part of the number of switches that are being flipped. And I think at some point you're going to feel like, oh my gosh, the switch did get flipped. But it wasn't one. It was the culmination of a decade of those events.
And I think that sets the tone for today's episode, guys, because again, the big update that we're going to provide for you is in regards to the Clarity Act. I just want to hit a couple of the daily movers this morning. We've got Bitcoin back below $70,000, trading at $68,600. Ethereum trading $25 below $2,000, trading at about $19.75 this morning. XRP trading at $1.36. I'm going to hit some of these other altcoins as well. Solana's down at $84. Cardano is 25 cents. You've got Chainlink trading below $10 at $9.20, and Stellar trading at about 16 cents this morning. We also got Hedera trading below 10 cents. So it just goes to show a lot of legitimate projects, a lot of projects that have a whole lot of opportunity in front of them are still trading at a massive discount this morning. But the tone for today's episode is the Clarity Act is going to be signed. And this is what I want to talk about for the next few minutes here on Good Evening Crypto, because one of the things that I think other communities are underestimating is that big banks and large companies are signaling before our very eyes they believe Clarity will be signed into law. And now we have Democratic and Republic members of the United States government coming out and saying that this is an absolute priority before midterms. Now, why is that? It's twofold. One, it's going to get votes for the Republicans. But two, if this doesn't get done, crypto is going to be in regulatory purgatory all the way until we elect J.D. Vance, Gavin Newsom, whoever the next president is in 2028. That is why we need to get this done here in 2026. And it's not just about what it will do for prices, it's what it will do for real world use cases. And I think that's the perfect intro to the brand new update that we just got on Fox Business this morning. Now, this is only from about 1 hour ago, but Congress predicts massive sweeping financial overhaul and a massive transformation. That is according to Fox Business, guys. Now, you already have 1,500 people here. If you're enjoying this content, smash that like button. Be sure to answer the live chat, because the question I ask you guys, do you think XRP falls below $1? I don't think so, but we're going to debate that before the end of the episode. I also want to provide just one more massive announcement yesterday. So for everybody who stuck around until the end of the show yesterday, we made the announcement that we are going to be giving away a free XRP Las Vegas ticket. Well, we spoke to Brad after the stream, and it appears we may have more than one ticket given away for free on this channel. So if you're excited about that, we're going to be giving away multiple tickets to XRP Las Vegas absolutely free during these live streams. I'll keep you guys, and I'll give you another update on Monday in regards to the dates for that. But if you're excited about that, throw a 1 in chat, smash that like button. With that being said, let's get into the content for today. Here it is.
Welcome back. President Trump has taken aim at the banking industry for holding up the Clarity Act in the Senate. The president wrote on Truth Social this: banks need to make a good deal with the crypto industry and not hold the Clarity Act hostage, because that's what is in the best interest of the American people. I spoke with the CEO of Coinbase, Brian Armstrong, about this main issue, which is, should platforms of crypto platforms, be able to pay rewards to customers who move their money into crypto platforms and out of banks? Watch this.
This stablecoin reward issue is very important, and I think President Trump has showed incredible leadership here, creating a strong crypto agenda. We just got the Genius Act passed into law, which actually did enable stablecoin rewards to happen. The banks had their own concerns, and we reached a good outcome in the Genius Act. And now the banks really are coming and trying to undermine the president's crypto agenda. They're trying to protect their own profit margins, taking money out of the pockets of hardworking average Americans and putting it into the coffers of these big banks that are hitting record profits. And so our view is that there should be a level playing field where banks and crypto companies can lean into stablecoin legislation as an opportunity. And that includes paying rewards to Americans so that they can earn more money on their money.
With a simple search on Get Your Guide, explore new places.
Well, guys, I got to say that's a gift compared to the last ad that we got, but let's continue with this. Here it is.
Cheryl Casoni, we spoke with French Hill, who's working on this legislation in the House, and he said it was agreed upon. Both sides agreed that, in fact, the crypto players would not pay rewards on money that is on crypto platforms and taken out of banks. But now there's this idea that perhaps the crypto players are coming out with backdoor ideas. Like Brian Armstrong said something about a membership program. Mm-hmm. Well, maybe we should, if you're part of the membership program, will be allowed to pay rewards. So, it's held up. And frankly, I think the crypto players and Coinbase in particular, it's in their best interest to keep holding this up because they are paying rewards right now.
Yes.
Because of this loophole in the Genius Act.
They are. There's two sides to this, certainly. On the one side, you can say, why wouldn't crypto platforms be able to pay rewards? Because banks pay rewards in many other sides, whether it's credit cards, et cetera. But at the same time, the regulation has to happen. I mean, you've got to have regulatory clarity because the banks themselves are the ones that are trying to move into investing in cryptocurrency, and of course, stablecoin being the backstop of all of that. At the same time, I think that Brian Armstrong made a really good point about that he wants to have that level playing field. At the same time, this is such a new industry, and there's so many question marks. I think having lawmakers get their heads around exactly what it is the crucial piece of this. And I know you got your interview. Yeah.
I think the CEO of blockchain.com just made a really important point. And he said, well, because I said, then the crypto platform should have insurance. They should have deposit insurance. And he said, well, not everything is FDIC insured because it's only insured up to $250,000. And by the way, in terms of interest rates, they pay nothing on deposit account. I mean, it's so tiny. Let me bring in Wisconsin Congressman Brian Stile. He is the chairman of the House Administration Committee and a member of the House Financial Services Committee. Mr. Chairman, good to see you. JP Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon has warned that Coinbase must play by the same rules as a bank, or, quote, the public will pay. Your thoughts on all of this? Where are you on this rewards issue between crypto and banks?
The House passed stablecoin legislation, and we're working to get through market structure legislation in the crypto space. To move forward on market structure legislation, we find ourselves watching the Senate renegotiate stablecoin legislation. I think some ways people are overplaying their concerns in this space. This was negotiated when it passed the House and Senate and was signed into law by the president. The use case for stablecoins is yet to be fully seen, but it's very clear that there is a major opportunity here to dollarize the global South. That is absolutely essential for U.S. dollar dominance and to maintain world reserve currency status. And so making sure that we allow innovation and development in this space, but also getting through market structure where broader crypto firms can innovate and develop and invest in the United States of America is absolutely essential. We can't hold up clarity any longer.
That's absolutely right. We certainly are hoping that this gets out of this stranglehold. Let me get your take on digital assets and tokenization and financial services. How do you see things changing?
I think we're seeing a major shift. I think with the new regulators at the SEC and CFTC, we're seeing forward-looking innovation at the opportunity here. As banks, as broader financial services firms tokenize, we're going to see more efficiencies in the financial services space writ large. That's really good for consumers. Being able to operate 24/7 with less friction in the system is at the end of the day saving money for consumers. And I think we're going to see massive transformation, innovation, and development in the financial services space in the coming years.
Yeah, really good points. Meanwhile, let's talk about this war. Israeli strikes overnight targeting the multi-million-dollar bunker used by.
So again, guys, I think the important part of this is that he's admitting both sides of the aisle need to get this done because there are global competitors out there that are going to eat away at the total crypto market cap. Whether it's China, Japan, the UAE, all of these different markets are beginning to step into the digital asset space. And the moment that the United States really begins to regulate this market, that is when these industry participants will have certainty that crypto is here to stay for the long haul. And from that point forward, we're going to see these big companies start placing bets about which cryptocurrencies they think will be most successful. And that's why I'm so optimistic on the Clarity Act bringing in this next wave of liquidity. Now, there's a whole nother narrative here, which is the real world use cases, right? And I think that's why companies like JP Morgan are now beginning to come out and publicly advocate for the passing of the Clarity Act. It's not because they want to see digital assets thrive. It's that, again, JP Morgan is also going to benefit off this narrative. They already have a half dozen blockchain products operating in the space today. they're going to expand those products after this regulatory certainty here. And this is where Ripple really enters the mix. So I want to play one more clip from Brad Garlinghouse here. This is Brad talking about Ripple's commitment to XRP. Here it is.
Like I say this, and I keep saying it, I'm going to keep saying it. XRP is the North Star of what Ripple's doing. We care more about what's going on in XRP than anybody else. There's obviously a lot of people who care, but we care more than anybody else. That will remain the case. Sometimes you'll see Ripple do something and you'll be like, oh, I see a direct line between they did this, positive outcome around XRP, there's a direct line. Sometimes even people inside the company are like, hey, I don't get it. I promise you that when we do something over here, it may have 1 hop or 2 hops or 3 hops, but we're doing it because we think it's going to drive an outcome in the XRP ecosystem. So if we use these two recent, the bigger acquisitions we made last year, a company called Hidden Road in the prime brokerage services business, and then the second, a company called G Treasury, which has a sizable and growing office here in Sydney. I just mentioned that because I don't know if anybody were here, but kudos to that team. Both of them are a little bit different than how other crypto companies have approached it because they don't do crypto. Right? G Treasury is last year processed about $14 trillion of payment flows. Do you know how many of those went through crypto or stable coins? 0. And that's the opportunity. And I promise you, like, we're not going to go force, they have over 1,000 corporates ranging from kind of mid-sized corporates all the way up to the Fortune 50. We're not going to go force Ripple payments on top of those customers. We're not going to go force Ripple custody on top of those. We're not going to force RLUSD. But we're going to start to introduce it. And we're going to just start to point out, hey, you're holding these deposits in whatever bank in whatever country, and they're getting 0 yield. You could hold those in RLUSD, and that would be a better outcome. Hey, did you know you could use XRP for your payment flows? And I'll tell you that the cultural fit of on both these acquisitions, of them understanding the North Star, they are bought in. They see how they can be a catalyst in transitioning a bunch of legacy kind of boring fuddy-duddy corporates into this future of financial infrastructure.
And that's a great point, guys. What Ripple's doing here is they're going out and they're acquiring companies, and then they're just offering better products. And they're expecting these companies to decide to use the XRP ledger because that's where all of these products are built on top of. Now, as we see Ripple expand their business model post-Clarity Act, it wouldn't surprise me at all if those 1,700 NDAs, those 300 financial companies that are working with Ripple behind the scenes begin rolling out products more and more and more. And I wouldn't expect this to have any other impact except moving the XRP price higher. Now, somebody said, Abs has 3x'd his viewer count since we started Conspiracy Fridays, LOL. Dude, big props. Now, I don't know where these allegations are about the 3x'ing of the viewer count. What I will say is we've been doing Conspiracy Fridays for, I think, 3.5, maybe 4 years now. Now, if you want to talk about milestones, guys, February 22nd, I reached a big milestone. That was the official 4-year mark of me doing a live stream every single day, Monday through Friday, since February 22nd, 2022. Missed a couple of days in there. Christmas happens, people get sick. But the reality is, since February 22nd, 2022, for the most of that time, I've been live every single day, 11:30 a.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday. And the thousands of people in the live chat right now, you guys have been on that journey with me. So I do want to give a massive thank you and shout out. Conspiracy Fridays are always a good day to give appreciation to the Good Evening Crypto community. And I want to give a massive thank you. Now, again, the big announcement that I made at the beginning of this episode, we are going to be giving away free tickets to XRP Las Vegas. You heard that correctly. These tickets are going for $589. They are absolutely going to be free, given away. We're going to have at least a half dozen. I'm really, really excited about this. So if you guys are excited, you want to help out the program, smash that like button, throw some thoughts in chat. The goal for today, can we pass 589 likes? We are at 391 as we do this. So we're going to need a little miracle stretch towards the end of the episode, but I think we can get it done, guys. And again, the big thing that I'm updating you all on today, we've got some big updates in regards to XRP as well. I haven't even touched upon these yet, but it is Conspiracy Friday. We're going over the passing of the Clarity Act, the adoption of Ripple products, and maybe, actually, definitely this article right here, which got a lot of attention from the Black Swan capitalist, which is the impact that quantum computing is going to have on the digital asset space. Now, if you guys caught my episode yesterday with Digital Perspectives, he shared some really interesting thoughts on this. I wanted to expand on this during today's episode this morning, reading through this thread and then sharing some thoughts with you guys. So here's what Black Swan Capitalist had to say. Over the last few weeks, I've been researching quantum computing's risk across blockchains, and here's what I've found. The short answer, no blockchain today, you're hearing that correctly, not Bitcoin, not Ethereum, and not XRP, is fully quantum proof. All of them rely on ecliptic curved cryptography, which in simple terms, this is a way to secure digital assets using math. Your public key is visible, but not only your private key can unlock them and control them. The concern here is very real. A sufficiently advanced quantum computer could theoretically break these keys on every single chain. And if that happens, the impact wouldn't just hit crypto, it would compromise the global banking system. This includes SWIFT, military encryption, and large parts of the internet. But here's where XRP stands apart. While Bitcoin and Ethereum are largely frozen in their cryptography, changing them isn't impossible, but it would require major network upgrades, hard forks, and could risk destabilizing the system. While XRP, on the other hand, was built completely different. Its ledger is governed at the protocol level, meaning its cryptography can be upgraded through validator consensus without halting the network. Very important. When quantum computing becomes a real threat, XRP can evolve in real time, keeping the network secure and functional. And guys, I briefly touched upon this yesterday, but this is another narrative that's working in favor of the XRP community. Quantum computing is right around the corner. Bitcoin is in big trouble. So when quantum computing becomes a real threat, Bitcoin is going to be trapped in the system. XRP will have the opportunity to evolve. Now, Bitcoin is rigged by design, and Ethereum upgrades are slow, complex, and risky. XRP, however, was built as an adaptable financial infrastructure that can respond to tomorrow's threats without stopping today's transactions. So when people ask, is XRP quantum proof? The simple answer isn't yes or no. The real question is, which networks can adapt when quantum computers become capable of breaking down modern encryption? XRP doesn't just survive, it was built for these upgrades. That's the distinction between strategic code and functional infrastructure. I'd like to hear from you guys. One's in chat if you're concerned about quantum computing. Two's in chat if this is not a narrative that's important to you. Big thank you to Brandon in chat. Big thank you to you, my friend, for the $5. He said, Abs, you are a legend. Listen, I'll be a legend when XRP is double and triple digits and our whole community is a whole lot wealthier. Right now, we are in the grind mode, guys. Maximum work, maximizing our potential here in 2026. But again, this is another reason that I think XRP is going to be one of these strategic investments that is worth holding in the long term. And this is an interesting article that I saw this morning. Ripple just quietly moved $280 million in XRP at 5 a.m. 200 million in XRP in a single transaction. The destination tag attached, less than $1. Settlement, partnership, acquisition, something big is happening here because this timing is way too suspicious not to be nothing. Now, again, this is all in correlation with the Clarity Act. We have the war in Iran. We have Brad working with the U.S. government behind the scenes. There are so many different dots that can be connected in the kind of narrative that we're witnessing play out before our very eyes. And I think it's all structured around the Clarity Act. And even if no Democrats vote yes, according to this person, we will get the Clarity Act still. So here's the direct statements here. Clarity Act could still pass even without the Democrats. The Senate's expect a late March markup. Now, it's already March 6th, guys, so this is going to get moving really quickly. New reports suggest that the Clarity Act may move forward in the Senate Banking Committee, even if no Democrats vote yes. Sources say the bill could pass along party lines, but Senator Tillis' vote remains critical if there's no bipartisan support. So there's one Republican that really needs to vote for the Clarity Act, and this thing is going to move forward. Negotiations are focused heavily on the stablecoin yield and rewards. The main issue has stalled earlier progress. The industry sources describe talks as moving in the right direction. If progress is made in the next 3 weeks, the Senate Banking Committee is expected to schedule a markup in late March, but time will tell. So again, we don't even need the Democrats to come over here. I think the stars are really aligning for the Clarity Act to get signed. And once again, I'm putting my money where my mouth is. I believe this is going to happen, and I've said it many, many times on this channel. I'm also allocating in that direction. I think that when this market passes the Clarity Act, the next 6 to 8 months, we are going to see a steady uptick in the rise of digital asset prices, not just XRP, Cardano, Solana, all these networks. High tide raises all boats. And I think Clarity is really going to unlock that next liquidity layer. Now, guys, I want to hear from you. One's in chat if you believe the Clarity Act is signed into law in 2026. Two's in chat if you think it does not happen. I've stated many, many times why I think this is going to happen. And I also think XRP is going to be one of the main benefactors here that will have price appreciation post-Clarity Act. because of all the updates that I just took you guys through. But I wanted to play this little video here because it is Conspiracy Friday. We're going to break down some conspiracy topics. We're going to get into the war with Iran and how this could impact digital asset prices. I also want to point out the 3D chess that Trump is playing right now. If the Clarity Act gets signed and crypto prices uptick, Republican crypto voters are going to be excited. If Clarity isn't signed into law and crypto continues with this short-term bear market here, Republicans are going to feel that at the voting booth. So Donald Trump knows he made a lot of promises to crypto voters. If he keeps those promises, they're going to show up and vote Republican. If he doesn't, he's going to lose the House majority. And so this is a very important issue for you guys. We are at 3,000 live listeners. If you're enjoying this content, smash that like button. Let me know some of your thoughts in chat. We're already at 500 likes for the program. The goal for today, can we pass 589? We're quickly catching up to that number. So shout out to you guys. Here's the latest update on Iran. Here it is.
What if I told you that the U.S. military actions in Venezuela last month and Iran over the weekend aren't really about removing dictators or stopping nuclear weapons, but something even bigger? The system that helps support $38 trillion of U.S. debt, the petrodollar. Stick with me. Over the weekend, Donald Trump ordered airstrikes inside Iran that reportedly killed several senior figures in the country's military leadership. Most of the coverage is focused on the political fallout inside Iran, but the bigger impact may actually be in the oil market.
So one thing I do want to point out, first of all, that music is so loud in the background, so I apologize. Second thing, we're watching for that spike in oil, and we've already seen it earlier this week. I want to give you guys a live update here because it'll be relevant to kind of today's episode. Look at the price in oil, even priced in American markets. Now, I shared that I actually I operate a gas station. One of the things that people need to understand about gas prices is for the majority of gas stations that you're driving by, when you drive by a Mobil or a Sunoco or a main chain, they get an email and they don't even set their own prices. But these independent chains, the ones that you may not be more familiar with, they have a little bit more leniency when it comes to setting their gasoline prices. And why is this relevant? Because what we're seeing right now, diesel, let me just tell you, diesel is essentially not even available. It's not even for sale. So you're going to see diesel prices skyrocket. And you're already seeing that. For my personal station, the one that I set the prices on, I actually shared a image with Johnny Krypto because here's what's crazy. Last Friday, I was selling gas for $2.65. Today, I am selling a gallon of gasoline for $3.25. In the last 7 days, I've increased my prices nearly 70 cents. And it's not because I wanted to, it's because the price that I'm paying for gasoline is spiking. Now, diesel's on a whole nother level. Diesel prices, my station was $3.29 earlier last week, last Friday, like I just told you guys. Today, I just had to raise it $5 a gallon for diesel. Why is that so important? Because diesel impacts everything. Every single good that you see in a store got there through a truck that runs on diesel. So if diesel prices continue to skyrocket, you're going to see the price of goods and services also skyrocket. And this is playing out before our very eyes. Now, Jake said in his domino theory, we need a 20% spike in oil, and a quick one. We're getting that in the United States dollar. I'm going to show you the Japanese chart as well, because I think that's very relevant to what we're going to go through. But crude oil prices are up 25% in the past 7 days. That's priced in the American dollar. So think about that, guys. Even in the United States dollar, we've seen a 25% spike in oil. Jake is planning that this impact is going to start to have an impact on the crypto space. Once we see that 20% spike in the Japanese prices, we're going to start to see that as well. And I'm going to show you guys that, but I'm going to play this quick video and I'll pull up that chart. Here it is.
Iran isn't just a geopolitical rival. It's one of the world's major oil exporters. Before the strike, Iran was exporting roughly 1.5 to 2 million barrels of oil per day, and about 90% of that was going to China. And here's the key detail. Much of that oil wasn't being settled through the traditional Western financial system. Iran has been cut off from SWIFT, the global banking network used for most cross-border payments. So many of those transactions happen through alternative systems or non-dollar currencies. Now, here's where it gets interesting. For decades, the global oil market has largely revolved around something called the petrodollar system. Since the 1970s, most oil around the world has been priced and traded in US dollars. That forces countries that want to buy oil to first obtain dollars. and that demand matters. Oil exporting countries accumulate those dollars and often recycle them back into U.S. assets like treasury bonds. Now, that process, known as petrodollar recycling, has helped finance U.S. government borrowing. In other words, when oil is priced in dollars, it creates global demand for dollars. And global demand for dollars helps absorb U.S. debt. Now, let's look at the geopolitical angle. Two of the largest oil exporters operating outside the dollar system have been Venezuela and Iran. If Venezuela ends up with a new government aligned with the West, and if Iran eventually transitions to new leadership, those oil exports could move back into the dollar system. That means oil sold in dollars, payments moving through SWIFT, and billions more flowing into dollar-denominated assets. At a time when the U.S. government is running trillion-dollar annual deficits, that demand becomes incredibly valuable. So the real question might be not whether this is about nuclear weapons or authoritarian dictators. It might just be about the currency that underpins the global financial system.
And it's really telling, guys. I think that narrative is spot on. Now, I told you I was going to show you the price of oil in the Japanese yen as well. Well, here's the prices in the last 2 days. We are seeing that spike that Jake was talking about. Now, when this initially kicked off, this conflict, I believe it was last week, prices were 10,500 when priced in the Japanese yen. We are now looking at nearly 14,000 yen. That is unbelievable. This is the spike that we've really been waiting for. And so the main domino that we're all seeing, will Japan raise rates? Will they tap the XRP ledger as a liquidity solution as well? That's what I want to get into as well. We did just pass the 30-minute mark for today's episode. If you're enjoying this content, you're having fun, smash that like button. I believe we're very, very close to passing that 589. We are currently at 573 likes on the show. Massive thank you and shout out to you guys for being the best community. And I do want to give a special shout out to the consistent listeners that always show up to this channel because, again, this market is extremely boring right now. I get it, guys. I'm in the same boat as you. I want to make money. I want to see these prices continue to rise. And I think it will happen towards the back end of this year, but it's going to take a certain amount of catalyst in order for us to get there. And that's why I'm talking about the oil crisis that we're going through today. If we see a spike in oil, that's a huge domino that falls in the Jay Claver domino theory, right? And so I just want to keep being consistent about reporting on that because imagine a situation where he's, correct. And I want to give a big thank you. This person said, nah, dude, your show is not boring. Exciting times. Thank you very much. And I agree with that. I don't think the show is boring. I think the crypto market in general has been a little bit difficult and boring for the average investor because people thought 2025 was going to be bullish. It wasn't. People are thinking 2025 is going to be really bearish. I don't think it will be, guys. I'm not thinking that this is going to be this massive bearish year. And I think that the Clarity Act is going to be that defining factor. Now, here's a big update in regards to the Genius Act. So here's some big news. Smoke posted on Twitter, the Genius Act will be implemented in the beginning of July 2026. And this is an article. BNY Mellon just launched tokenized deposits on its private blockchain in January. JP Morgan continues expanding its products, which has processed over $3 trillion since 2019. Each of those different platforms are live. Meanwhile, the Genius Act creates a federal framework for licensed stablecoins with the implementation beginning in July. So this person, Rip Bullwinkle here on Twitter, he said, this is what this means. The U.S. officially starts rolling out its federal regulation for licensed stablecoins. Banks can finally build infrastructure around digital settlement layers with regulatory certainty. Ripple's been preparing exactly for this moment. And this is really the moment that we've been waiting for. It would be so fitting for the market to be boring, every retail investor to be in despair, and all of a sudden the Clarity Act gets signed and real products start being launched inside the U.S. It's a big moment for the industry, guys. And it's very, very fitting that a lot of people think that this isn't going to be a bullish year, that people are thinking this is going to be a very negative time for digital assets. But you read the writing on the wall and you can see there's so many good things happening for the industry, not just the government, but even the catalyst that Jake has been talking about, this Iran situation, the spike in oil. Does Japan raise rates? If Japan ends up raising rates, guys, I mean, it's ball game, right? Everything's kind of kicking off here. And I'm going to play this update from Pantera Capital, who's talking about how undervalued crypto assets are right now, especially altcoins. Here it is.
We track an index of the top 10 AI companies, and they're trading about 20% over their long-term trend. And crypto's trading at a 50% discount to its long-term trend. So as a relative value investor, I think crypto is very cheap relative to AI at this point.
Is it cheap relative to just normalcy?
No, I think it is. Crypto's come off 50% from its highs. It's literally at its 7th percentile value against this 8-year trend average. So, there have been a few times it's been a little bit cheaper than it is versus this trend, but right now it's about as cheap as it gets.
So 7th percentile, so 93% of the time it has been above historically where it is right now.
Exactly. And one of the things that's just wild about crypto is every investor that's owned Bitcoin for 4 years has made money over the entire history. And I've never seen an asset class like that. So as long as you have a multi-year view, this is a fantastic time to enter.
There you have it, guys. If you have a multi-year view and you're willing to hold these digital assets for the long term, we are set up to make a whole lot of money on the back end. And we got some new guidance out of the SEC yesterday that also hints that we're going to get rules for the crypto market. The SEC just submitted a proposal that could move crypto one step closer to the Clarity Act. The proposal explains how U.S. securities laws apply to certain crypto assets and transactions. The SEC is effectively saying it won't wait around for Congress. The agency believes it has the authority to move forward on digital asset rules if needed. The Clarity Act would still be the best outcome, but this moves the industry towards the same endpoint, regulatory clarity. And regulatory clarity is what trillions in institutional capital is waiting for. And I like this comment from Chip here. It's a nice gesture, but the SEC's job is to enforce the laws passed by Congress, not create new ones. And that's the exact problem that we had during Biden's war on crypto when Gary Gensler was going after the industry. Kraken, Ripple, all these different companies were being sued. But this is a great indicator. The U.S. government is going to give us rules and guidelines. And I know as crypto investors, we want this perfect outcome where we get the Clarity Act signed and everything's great and crypto companies can offer a stablecoin yield. But the reality is, having been in this market for 6 years, these things are never perfect. And I think that if we even see progress, that is a win for the crypto industry. The Clarity Act getting signed, regardless of what happens with stablecoin yields, that is going to be the catalyst that lets industry participants know you are free to stay in the USA. Products are free to expand, and we're going to see this market really expand into from a $2 trillion asset class to a $5 trillion, then $7 trillion, then $10 trillion, and eventually $12, $15 trillion asset class for crypto. We've been talking about that for a really long time, but we're 36 minutes into today's episode. This was some Conspiracy Friday content. We're going to close it out with a little bit of Brandon Biggs here. This is a pretty fun video talking about what he sees with the Clarity Act, why this matters to Ripple. Here it is.
About the banks last night, and when I told you, I tried to show you, it was like a Kleenex, and I saw the banking and all that, and I saw Brad Garlinghouse, and I said there was a black line out here, and there was a Kleenex on top of it. It looked like this, and he said it's rice paper thin. The new Clarity Act, we're bringing clarity, and I saw Garlinghouse excited, sitting out there just wanting to get this thing rolling. As I saw a rocket taking off with a rope around it. And I saw 3 big bankers. One was the Chase guy, and he had a hold of a rope trying to hold down the rocket of crypto. He was pulling it down, trying to control it like a kite. And I watched him, and he kept pulling it. As long as it was in his control, he would let it go as high as he wanted to, and then he would reel it back down. He would pull that metal rope. And all 3 of them were trying to pull it and control it. And they would let it go high, and they would pull it back down. They would let it go high, and they would. So what I gathered, what the Lord showed me about that was manipulation. They were manipulating the rocket. They were controlling the rocket by a rope. And so I thought that was kind of interesting. As I was looking into that vision, what the Lord was showing me, I saw that black line. And that line, this black looking line that I saw, that was the foundation. And Garlinghouse, this man, was looking at it again, like he looked mysterious the way his face was. He looked like he was studying it and he was pleased, but there was something more behind his grin. He just needed clarity.
So guys, it's a fun thing that I like to play just to kind of indulge on these Conspiracy Fridays. This isn't something that I put a lot of validity into, but I like to go down these different rabbit holes of all the different parts of the XRP community. There's also another big thing that's going viral right now. I think it was NFA who put it out, trying to identify who the bearable guy is. And there's a funny kind of theory going around that I don't even believe in it, but I like to indulge in these things kind of with you guys because I think it's fun, where they think William Shatner is this guy. Now, I'm not going to give any time to that on air, but it's another conspiracy kind of topic going on in the background. And I do want to give a thank you to everybody who kind of enjoys this content and likes to indulge and have some fun with this stuff. Charles said, XRP is Godzilla. Know what you hold. Abs is our chic. That's what they tell me, guys. And someone said, and again, the profit thing, I'm very skeptical on. I got to be totally transparent. The reason I play this stuff is because I think it's fun. I think people enjoy it. I think it's kind of interesting and how it factors into the real stuff that we go through. but I'm not going to place my bets based on what this guy is saying. And I'm not a huge follower of his content as well. I just really enjoy indulging in the different theories and narratives in the XRP community. So with that being said, guys, we love you all. We appreciate you all. If you enjoyed this content, smash that like button. Let me know some of your thoughts underneath the video as well. And I do want to make sure everybody go out, have a great weekend, touch some grass, hug some family, as we always say. The goal for today was 589. We already passed 675 likes on the show. Huge thank you, guys, as it looks like we'll end up passing right around 700 before the end of the episode. The question that we asked you guys today is, does XRP fall below $1 in 2026? 56% say no. 44% say yes. I fall into the category of no. I'm not anticipating we sweep much lower than $1 for the XRP price chart. I think that if things get really bearish, that $1.08 price target, that's where I'm going to be looking for some support. If that falls below those levels, it may get dicey. We may go sub $1. But with everything kind of playing out before our very eyes, I mean, look at what's happening with crude oil. Look at what's happening with the Clarity Act. Wouldn't surprise me at all if the bottom is in based on that major liquidity dump that we had just a couple of weeks ago. But we love you guys. We appreciate you all. If you enjoyed this content, smash the like. Also, final reminder here, I am going to be giving away several free tickets to XRP Las Vegas. All you're going to have to do, show up to the live stream, place your name in the free raffle, and we're going to spin the wheel and give the ticket away to somebody for absolutely free. So with that being said, we love you guys. We appreciate you all, and we'll see you in the next one. So if you're looking to implement the same strategies that we do here on Good Evening Crypto, I would encourage all of our listeners to click on the Merlin link below and sign up for ITrust Capital as well. Now, why are our listeners going to do this? By leveraging the Merlin application, you can create a profit plan for yourself so you know exactly where you're going to be exiting this market. But leveraging ITrust through a Roth IRA product, you can take advantage of tax-free crypto gains during this crypto bull market. So I would encourage everybody, click on the link down below, sign up for ITrust today, and take advantage of our $100 free sign-up bonus.
Well, you don't know much about crypto. You know nothing about nothing. You fake news.
But the challenge, as you know well, is the U.S. has had this very hostile. The Biden administration has been waging a war